There is one less thing for families to worry about when sending their kids to school this year, and that is paying for the school meals.
This year will be the first under a new law that provides no-cost breakfast and lunch for all students. And joining us now to talk about how important this is for free meals for families, Dr. Gigi Chawla, the Chief of General Pediatrics at Children's Minnesota. Always great to see you, Dr. Gigi.
Well, thanks for having me again.
So you actually testified in support of this legislation at the state capitol. What's your message to families as we head into this new school year?
Well, first, congratulations to the kids in Minnesota that they have this available, and shout out to our legislature for really understanding how important this is. Really, it's a fantastic thing for kids to have access to food, right? And just to make sure that it's available for them each day as they're going into the classroom can provide families a lot of just knowing that their kid has that available to them and they're going to start their day off right. That's what we're really excited about.
The stress. I mean,
Yeah, it's the stress.
You don't have to worry about that now if you don't have access to it.
No, we know there's a lot of disparities
Yes.
within our society, within our educational system, and one of those is food disparities. Like, what kind of impact do you think that this will have here in Minnesota?
Oh, I think that's really the predominant reason to carry this forward, right? Is that we know that our patients of color, kids of color, are more at risk for food insecurity. And that really means that they don't have the adequate nutrition that they need to start a school day. It puts them at risk academically, and from a health aspect, it really puts them at risk as well, because when we think about kids and grown-ups who are food insecure, they reach for foods that are really the most inexpensive, and unfortunately those are also the most calorically dense and probably the worst for us and put us at risk for things like obesity.
What is this going to do to mental health as well? Because I assume that this is going to be a big boost.
Yes, and I think it's very clear to understand how making sure that kids have adequate nutrition helps promote things like reading and attention and focus in schools. But there's also an association with kids who are hungry in that they are more at risk for anxiety, for depression, for suicide ideation, and even for substance abuse. And so we really want to make sure that kids have anything that we can do preventatively, really want to make sure that we offer.
We talk a lot about school lunch, but this really has to do with school lunch and breakfast. Right. Not all school districts offer that, but more and more do. We've talked before with you about the importance of breakfast. What does it mean to include this breakfast here?
Yeah, well, I think the breakfast part, there's been studies looking at what are kids' academic performance when they have breakfast compared to not. And we can see that test scores, for example, are higher in math, reading, and vocabulary. Their attention is also, and memory is also enhanced all when they have breakfast as compared to kids who don't have breakfast. So really making sure that your child academically is setting off on the right foot by having breakfast, that's what every parent can hope for, right. And now the schools are going to be able to provide that. From a health standpoint, we also know for kids who don't eat breakfast, they are more at risk for metabolic type conditions, and that includes things like type 2 diabetes or lipid concerns and obesity. And so all of those things in childhood can lead to adult health problems as well that are correlated with those things. And so it's really just important to think about how starting your day out right with a meal can be really grounding both academically and from a health standpoint.
Unbelievable benefits. Dr. Gigi, as always, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.